Hey guys, we're going to do a little tutorial for the workers module. I already recorded once, but the video quality came out kind of crappy, so I figured out OBS was set to a much lower resolution, so I went ahead and fixed that. Now you should be able to see what I'm doing and not just hear me. So, without further ado, so all we've got right now to start with is a player with a nav mesh agent, a nav mesh surface, and a camera shot. And then we're set to third person. So what we're going to do is going to make a character. I'm going to call him worker, and then I'm going to set him to a nav mesh agent. So then we're going to go to worker agent, throw this on here, and I'm going to use a lot of stuff from the example scenes, because reverse engineering from the examples is kind of a best practice to use. So we're going to go ahead and give him all these, so the camp scribes and proficiencies, survival worker behavior tree. We're also going to use the walk animation or state from the game creator characters examples. We'll pass in his proficiency table and needs settings, and that's it for the worker. That's all you need to do for him, and we'll go over what those do. We're going to call this taskboard / bonfire just for easy remembrance, and we're going to add a taskboard component, pass in the definition catalog. We'll go over what all this stuff does. So we're going to leave the radius at 40, select auto collect work, and then I'm going to make a canvas, call this worker UI. Let's see, worker. No, let's just call this shift for now. That's what I originally did in the first video. And then we'll add a test mesh pro. Call this shift as well. Set that like that. And then just add some text so we can see where it goes. Drag this up in game view. And then remove the text. And then for the taskboard, we're going to drag in this shift thing we just added to the canvas. And then the next thing we're going to do is to the taskboard / bonfire object, we're going to add a camp bonfire. And I'm going to go ahead and add fuel seconds remaining 4 9s and add it as lit to start with. We don't really need, for this example, we don't need a bag or anything like that for it, but what we will do is on it, just for example's sake, we're going to add a child object called input, and then we're going to add a smart container, and that should automatically add a bag component to the taskboard or the input. So then what we'll do is come over and drag input over to the bag, and we'll go over workstations here in a little bit, but what I want to make sure you know before we do that is that whenever you have input and output bags, you should always name them input or output, because the way I have it set up, it's set up that way. You don't necessarily need an input and output for certain things, like the bonfire doesn't need to be named input, but it's a good practice to have. I might end up changing that eventually, where you don't need to have the string name be input and output for workbenches, but for now we're going to have just make sure we practice that because it's important. So I got a little distracted there. Let's see, 3D object capsule, and we're going to call this node. Drag this over here, and then we'll add a resource node definition and visual. And in the visual, we're going to enable the placeholder scale and visibility. And then we will also go into here. I just created this. It's very, go ahead and delete it and make a new one. Game creator, workers, resource nodes, node definition. And then the cool thing about these definitions is that you can change the animation, the audio, whatnot to loot tables. You can have multiple loot tables. They're very configurable. So we'll go ahead and use the tree loot from the examples. But what's cool about this loot table list is that you can, if you add multiple ones, it won't just like pick from one of them. It'll pick from all of them. So that's the one thing, the one gripe I always had about inventories loot tables is that you couldn't set it to where they'll loot from all of them. For example, like if you're harvesting a node, you're harvesting an iron ore, maybe you want iron ore and stone to come from harvesting it, and not just iron ore or stone. So that way we can do that. If we just add it in the list, we can add ore, stone, and like rare stuff, and all has a chance to drop at the same time. So we'll go ahead and add that, and then drag in the resource node definition in there. So on the worker, we're going to scroll down and add a trigger. And I like to do on enable for testing purposes. We're going to register worker with camp roster. And then we're going to come into the game creator, installs workers examples folder, go to UI, and all three of these, not this one because this is this passes into the needs vital component. So then we'll go to menu hub, drag in our deploy UI and our assignment UI. And then on the player, I've already got a trigger on keyboard, press T, toggle work assignment menu. That is accessed from workers, tribesmen, work assignment menu. Okay, let's see what else do we need to do to set this up. Oh yeah, so we're also going to need a day-night cycle. I always keep wanting to call it schedule. Day-night cycle. Okay, and then for realism purposes, we'll do 90, 270 on the azimuth, and then 90 and negative 90. And then we'll drag in our directional light, set the default skybox, and then that should do it. The reason why we need a day-night cycle for this example is because we're using the behavior tree from the example scene, and in it we have conditions for not as night, so it's got to be daytime for these things to happen, and that won't work without the day-night cycle. So make sure the worker has this mesh agent. All right, so for this scene should basically be set up. I don't think I forgot anything, but if we did, then we can go ahead and pop back out and fix that. Go ahead and give Unity a second to think. Thinking. And then, oh yeah, I've got it on play unfocused. So let's once these guys pop back in there, popped out of their T-pose, and okay. So the first thing you'll notice is this timer up the top, and he's dancing. So this timer is their shift schedule. So you can set how long their shifts last and how long their breaks last. And when it's red, it's their shift, and when it's green, it's their break time. And you don't necessarily need that UI component, but so I just hit T and assigned him work, and looks like he already harvested that. That was really quick. Oh, I know why he did so quickly, but we didn't set the harvest time. But so what's really cool is that they will basically automatically do any work that's in their queue. So we can set them to do other stuff. I don't have any stations for him to craft at or anything like that, but we can add that. That's not able to do because there's no farming there, but that's a lot of this stuff is really easy to set up, and we'll go over some of the. There's a lot of components that are in this module here. One of my favorites is called Menu Instruction Group. What's really cool about this little deal is that if you drag in your menus, and let's add another camera shot and just hit fixed position. I'll show you why we did that here in a second. So we drag in our menus, and then when any menu is open, change to shot, change to this camera shot, and then, oops, we'll change to this camera shot. Let's go ahead and name these TPS fixed. Drag that up there. So what's really cool about this is that you can have as many menus as you want that will trigger the same instruction list when any menu is open or when no menus are open. The reason why I added this component is because it's a real hassle setting up triggers and stuff that when a menu's open it does this, and when a menu's closed it does this. And a lot of cases it's just sometimes it's just annoying setting it up. So this menu instruction group is really nifty. You can cursor visibility, like all that stuff. So when the menu's open, cursor visibility true. When the menu's open, it's hidden. You know, stuff like that. And so you only have to set it up once, which is just really cool. So we'll pop in and take a look at this real quick and see exactly what this does. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I love it. It's going to be in basically all my projects from now on. All my projects are going to have the workers module installed, even if I'm not using automation, because there's a lot of systems I added to it that just add a lot of QOL that is much needed. So like my building system, that's much more simple than EVS and stuff like that. So excuse me, we won't be able to see what it does with the assignment menu, but we'll come over here, and we do not have a trigger on the worker for that though. Let's just do it in play mode. Okay, there we go. So we'll go over and interact with him. Now the trigger doesn't happen while the okay, why is he not? Oh, I don't have an interact trigger on the player. I really don't want to go out back into play mode, and we're just gonna do this once. So I'll go ahead and just do that real quick. Oh wait, no, on input. Sorry, hold on. Interact. Player do interact. All right. Run over here. Now he doesn't have a hotspot or nothing. That's okay. So come here. Why can't I interact with you? What did I do wrong? Hold on. I may have to come out of play mode. Copy that. Paste it on the player. On interact. Oh wait. I'm rushing through here, not really thinking about what I'm doing. Hold on. Interact. Try spin menu. Okay, so for the menu hub, did I pass in those? Yes, I did. Excuse me. So this should work. This is why I don't like popping out of play mode, because it has to domain reload every single time. And I've turned it off before and it just breaks stuff, so we have to have the domain reload on. It's okay. Oh yeah, but I did not show the worker actually harvesting. Let me show you that real quick. So he's far away enough where he won't do it before I close the menu. So, oh, where is he? Okay, there. Now he's going to run over. I don't have him as a starting state yet, so he's got the basic slow game creator run. So he's going to go over there, harvest that real quick, and do that. But as you can see, our mouse is hidden. And then we open this up, our mouse is not hidden. We close it, the mouse is hidden. And that'll affect like every single menu in the so yeah, there's this, and it changes the shot to that fixed shot. We didn't edit the shot, so it's just kind of basic at 0, 0, 0. But yeah, we close the menu and it goes back to this. Really cool, really simple, really useful. Now there's also something else I wanted to show y'all. Actually quite a few things here. I mean, we're not going to go over every single component in the game, because it's going to take way too much time. There's just a lot that's going on in this module. But so in the example scene, we'll go ahead and pop in here. We also have workstations. We have our simple building system, which is, like I said, it's like EBS, but way, way simpler, and I'll go over that here in a moment. And then we'll go over the SOs and the behavior tree. So I'll give that a second to load again. Alright. And yeah, we always start like right before sunrise, which I like. So here's a workstation. Very configurable. This is just the basic UI that you have. But it's all editable. You can add things to the queue and the workers will go and craft them. As long as they have the resources. The bonfire, they will upkeep automatically. Of course, you can do it yourself too. They'll harvest nodes, they'll farm, they'll build blueprints. And anyway, so yeah, they just threw the fire up. This guy, I believe he's upkeeping. Yep, he's repairing stuff. That's the guy that just started the bonfire. So yeah. let's go over some of the SOs real quick, and then I'll show you the build system. So workers examples, SOs. So the first one we'll take a look at is the needs component, or needs scriptable, sorry. So basically, if we add an element, all we have to do is change, we add drag an attribute, we add our ID, and then our item ID prefix. So this, I'm actually pretty proud of how I have this working. So basically, Tribesman will take any item that has a prefix of a certain prefix for the ID, and they will use that item to fulfill any need that they have, like hunger, thirst, and these are all configurable, changeable, addable, removable. So if we look at the prefab here for the UI, they have an ID and then the fill image, and that's all you have to drag in. This component handles it all, and their worker behavior handles the consumption. So if we look at items, water skin, where is it? Okay, so see the water skin here? This has a container prefix, container water skin, and that that allows the item to be consumed whenever they're using it, whenever they need it. So we'll go over some of these other SOs. I mean, a lot of these are pretty simple. When you take a look at them, it's pretty easy to figure out what exactly they do. The proficiency, these task types are actually tags, basically, that handle a lot of stuff when it comes to work. But anyway, this proficiency table, this determines what tasks they need to do to increase the skill of each task. And it will increase the task, it'll increase the attribute level, and then the attribute level determines how fast they do the work. And then we'll go ahead and take a look. Oh yeah, so also attributes, if they have the prefix skill, then they will show in the basic worker assignment UI. If they do not, they won't. And then caps, caps, if they have the suffix cap, then they will not show in the UI, and they will also actually, how I have it set up now, you don't need to have cap to make it not show in the UI. You just need to not have it not have skill. However, cap, what it will do is that it will randomize it. So as long as you have that suffix cap, it'll randomize the cap. And this is all kind of stuff that you can do already with the stats module. But like I said, a lot of this stuff is just for simplicity's sake, for making things take less time to set up, and make them easier to manage and stuff. So these jobs, there's your tags again, and then they will run instruction lists whenever they carry out the job. And a lot of this, again, self-explanatory. I mean, so in this, the arg for this, for target for this one, is actually the object that broadcasts the work. So in the case of our capsule, where is it that I call it node? Oh, we're not in that scene anymore. Hold on. In the case of this node here, I don't know why this just changed color. That's kind of strange. So in the case of this node here, this resource node is what will actually broadcast the task. So oh yeah. So earlier we passed in the workers definition catalog. That's this. That just lists the job definitions. Okay. Now what we'll do is I'll go ahead and pop over to my my project scene and show you guys the build system. I don't really want to go over setting it up because It is really simple. However, it takes a while to set up, and I don't want to like go into a bunch of UI designing and stuff. So basically, the gist of it is we have a build catalog. Drag in your prefab, give it an ID and a display name, and that's it. And then for the menu, we drag that in, and then you basically just drag in prefabs like this this item template. It's pretty simple kind of deal. I'll probably add an example scene just for the building. Even though it's really simple, it just takes a while to set up, and obviously being able to reverse engineer things from the examples is very, very useful. But yeah, so I'll show you how that works. Go ahead and pop in here real quick. Give it a moment here. Okay. Alright. So, if we open up the build menu, we can place things like this. We can demolish them. And we can also place them if we grab them and come out of the menu and place them like a lot of games like Fortnite and stuff. And we can also just add any prefab, and basically it'll give you a preview of it and let you place it. Now these prefabs are actually build sites, so I haven't gone over those yet. We'll go over those and workstations. So build sites work like this. You add your build site component, you give it a label, and you add the materials required for crafting it, and then the prefab that it will be whenever it is built. And I have the state machine runner on it, but you don't necessarily need all this. I don't think... Yeah, I think all it is just the player build, which you don't need for the workers. So that's... you don't need that. Workstations... Workstations are pretty simple. I mean, if you're just doing autocraft from the workers, then all you need is just to add the allowed items and the craft standpoint and the input and output bag. So, like I was saying earlier, you do need to name the bags input and output, and then you do need to drag them in here. But that's it for that. And then so we also have upkeep targets. There's a lot that I added to this. I've been a lot of sleepless nights just working on this. I mean, the irony that it's, well, maybe not the irony, but the funny coincidence that it's called the workers module, and a lot of work has gone into it, and neglecting my real life work to make money in real life to make this, which is just kind of funny because I'm not working so I can make a module about people who work. So that's kind of funny. But so we'll pop in here and take a look at this. Actually, you know what I'll do? Instead of the example scene, because the example scene isn't really set up with like a crap load of all the configurable stuff, but my prefabs that I made for my actual game that I'm making with the module actually do. And so what we'll do is I'll go ahead and go to the player here and make sure he's got 100 stone to start off with. So we can craft a forge real quick. And I'll show you all the forge. And it's just a basic workstation with the allowed items set for crafting certain things. And the cool thing about crafting on here is that it uses the game creator item scriptables. It uses the crafting section in there. So basically all you do is tick on the crafting bool and then add the recipe ingredients and you're good to go. You don't really, I mean, there's really no need to set up a lot of stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and come in here and build one of these real quick. Build us a forge. Oh, and it's already built since I had the ingredients on me. So we'll go into the forge here. And let me open this up so you can see what I'm doing. So you can add things to the queue. Workers will go to the station and craft it for you as long as they have craft autoplay set as their job. Or you can craft it yourself. So what we'll do is equip this pickaxe here, and I didn't really set this up where it looks nice or anything yet, but we'll go ahead and harvest a little iron ore. Run over here and throw some of these in the input and craft. And the UI automatically handles all of this. The animations here, you see. The example UI does not include this input and output bag, but it's pretty easy to set up. You just add a window with the bag and stuff, and you can kind of reverse engineer the examples. But so you see it gives you an iron ingot. So the way this works is pretty cool. I like to have it where things have like really minimal setup, and that's kind of what I've been going for this module, is to make it so it's easy for people to set things up. So basically all you do is just tick this craft on and add the ingredients, and the workbench handles the rest. So you don't have to configure a lot of stuff like that. So what else did I not go over yet? Oh yeah, we have world pickups. That's another fun one that basically behaves just like a node, only it can be used for player pickups as well. And what's cool about it is that you don't really necessarily need to, like for a game creator pickup, what you would do is make an object, add your model to it, add a box collider, add a trigger with input, just a lot of, or a trigger with on interact, like a lot of stuff. So basically all you need to do for this is add pickup and your visual and your trigger on interact, and that's all you really need to do. You don't need to do anything else. It handles it all in the SO here. And what's cool is you not only does it set up all the stuff that you would normally set up with a game creator pickup, but it also sets up a lot of other stuff like animation, your audio, yada yada yada. And what's cool is that if you wanted to change any of that stuff, you could pass in a different definition, or you could edit the definition. It's just minor conveniences that it adds. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Oh yeah, so the workbench craft hub, this is something that actually gets added to the scene automatically. But if you want to edit it, basically what you do is you start the scene with workbenches in the scene, and then come over and grab this workbench craft canvas, copy it, stop gameplay, and then paste it on the craft hub as a child, and then drag it in there. That's as simple as that. If you don't have one, it'll automatically create it. But yeah, it gives you a template to work with when you create it. But obviously, you won't see like what I have in my game there with the inputs and outputs and all that. But that's all easily configurable. Let's see. But anyway, there's a lot of components and SOs and stuff to play with. I also included so like a lot of this stuff from where it says Workforge. This is from this. That's the name of my game I'm working on, and this is just stuff that I added and created whilst in development, and I added that to the workers module just to kind of hook you guys up. We have housing and conditions and stuff for that, and sleeping, the day-night schedule and or cycle, I'm sorry, and sleeping, and also the build system is all included in that Workforge thing. The shop is incomplete right now. I haven't done a lot of testing with the shop, but basically it's not the same thing as a merchant and the inventory module. What it actually is a shop for workers to buy and sell items from each other, and that can create like a little economy for your game. But that's basically it. I think I've covered almost everything as far as the basics. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so we do have the site boss thing. That's that allows you to have a simple character creator, basically. And then the machine shop, I haven't gone over that, but the machine shop is its own kind of thing that adds upgrades to the worker speed. So if you build a machine shop, it increases their work speed, and then you can upgrade it and increases it even more, etc. I think that's it. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the video, and hopefully the quality is a little better this time and you can see what I'm doing. So we'll find out once it's uploaded. Alright, and y'all have a good one.